super smart sloths! I have a very special announcement for you. I'm very proud of you! I wanted to make a quick video to tell you I'm very proud of you. I was thinking about all of the amazing work that we did today in class. Holy moly, did you do great. No one gave up. We kept working. You have such wonderful attitudes, and I love how much you love learning, so it is so much fun being your teacher. I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to make this little bonus announcement or a little just fun video to review how we're finding common denominators. We've worked on 3 different ways to find common denominators. First way is to model, so fun. Second way, we can just multiply the denominators together. The third way we've been working on finding a common denominator we introduced today is skip counting. Who doesn't love a little skip counting? So, quick review strategy that we're using. So when we are looking at 1/2 plus 3/4, if we are modeling as a strategy to find a common denominator, we are going to model both the 1/2 and the 3/4. That is going to require 2 rectangles. 1/2, our first fraction, is going to look like CR, columns, rows, and then 3/4 is going to be rows and then columns. So 1/2, I'm going to show 1/2, let's find a fun color. I'm going to show 1/2, this rectangle has been chopped into 2 columns, and I am shading in one of the columns to show 1/2. Beautiful. And then 3/4 is going to be divided into, is going to be divided into 4 rows. Oh, I think I had, it's going to be divided into, like the thickness of that, hang with me guys, is going to be divided into 4 rows. Why 4 rows? Well, Mrs. C, 4 rows because the denominator is 4 and 3/4. And how many of these rows are we going to be shading? Well, the numerator in 3/4 is 3, so that tells me that we are going to be shading in 3 of our rows. Can you tell that I haven't made a video in a while and I am not remembering how to use all my tools? So I do remember though how to show 3/4. I'm going to show 3/4 by shading in 3 of my rows so that I can very, 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 very clearly show 3/4. Okay, so here's the fun part. Now, in order to reveal our common denominator, so I've shown our columns, we've shown our rows. Now, in order to reveal our common denominator, we need to put our rows on top of our columns, and then we need to put our columns on top of our rows. How many rows are we putting on 1/2? Well, we're putting 4, because over here we had 4, and the denominator in 3/4 is 4. So you can see me here putting 4 columns on top of our, 4 rows on top of our 2 columns, thus revealing that 1/2 is also equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 out of, this rectangle is now divided into 8 pieces. So cool. Now, friends, so I've done my rows. Now we're going to put columns on top of our rows. How many columns? 2, because 1/2 has 2 in the denominator. So when I lay my columns on top of my rows, I am showing that 3/4 is also equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of, this rectangle is now divided into 8 total units. So I can rewrite our number expression as 4/8 plus 6/8. 1/2 is equal to 4/8 and 3/4 is equal to 6/8. And now we can just do some simple adding to find that 4/8 plus 6/8 is 10/8. We can simplify that into 1 and 2/8. And that is how we model. This is the strategy of modeling when we're looking for a common denominator. Again, this is a review, so I hope this looks really familiar for everyone. Our next strategy that we are talking about is just multiplying denominators together. So here we're looking at 3/5 plus 2/3. You clever kids immediately recognize that those numbers, 5 and 3, are not the same. But here's a really great way that we can find a common denominator. Hey, guess what? We just multiply the denominators together. 5 times 3 is 15. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite two equivalent fractions, one equivalent fraction to 3/5 and another equivalent fraction that is equivalent to 2/3, but in new forms that both have denominators of 15. So ask yourself, what do we multiply 5 by to make it a 15? Spoiler alert, it's right there. 5 times 3 is 15, and you know if we multiply 5 by 3, we have to multiply 3 by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now we need to think about, what do I multiply 3 by to make it a 15? Spoiler alert, it's right next door. 3 times 5 is 15. And you all know, you better multiply 2 by 5 if you're multiplying 3 by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Now we can just evaluate our expression. We're looking at 9 plus 10, which is 19, and our denominators stay the same, 15. 19/15ths, we can go ahead and simplify this as 1 and 4/15ths. Very simple way to find a common denominator. Just multiply the denominators. To find a common denominator. So here our expression is 5/8 plus 1/4. We can skip count by both of these denominators over here on the side to find some common multiple that they share. So let's first skip count by 8s. Ready? Here we go. Imagine me skipping around the room. 8, 16, 24. So this is 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. Okay, great. Let's skip count now by 4. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Uh-oh, I pressed the button. Friends, I see something that we have in common. I notice that 16 is shared as a multiple of 8 and 4. We can use 16 as a common denominator. So, actually, friends, you know what else I'm noticing? Goodness sakes, I can't believe I missed this. Look at a smaller version. Look at what else they share that is a smaller number. 8. 8 and 8 match. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and use 8 as our common denominator. Friends, 16 is also a common denominator. That's cool too, but let's just make life easy for ourselves. And let's use 8 as the common denominator. The beauty of that is, if 8 is our common denominator, 5/8 already has a denominator of 8, so we are good. Oh dear. Let's press the button. The mystery button. We don't have to do anything to 5/8. The denominator is already 8. Here, this is going to be really straightforward for us. We just consider, what mystery number do I multiply 4 by to make it 8? Bingo, it is 2. And you all know if we are multiplying the denominator by 2, you better multiply the numerator by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Otherwise, we're going to have 8 like this.